Welcome back to the Quarterly Call. All content is for informational purposes and is not investment advice. Please consult with an investment professional. It feels like you can't go anywhere these days without hearing about AI.
It's definitely top of mind for a lot of people.
It really is. And Microsoft is right in the thick of it. Some of their recent moves with AI have been pretty interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not just about riding the hype wave for them. Microsoft's been getting ready for this AI boom for a while now.
Let's look back at Microsoft's Q2 earnings call. Some pretty big numbers being thrown around, like Azure AI contracts worth over $100 million. That's a pretty big deal.
That's a huge commitment, and it actually points to a bigger trend. Companies of all sizes are signing these long-term contracts for Microsoft's AI. It's like they're saying, we believe in this.
These max contracts are not just for the big guys either.
Right, exactly. We're seeing companies of all sizes in all sorts of industries signing up for the long term. It's a real vote of confidence.
It seems like they're betting big on AI being a part of how they do business for years to come. This isn't just a fad.
Absolutely. And that actually leads to a really interesting point. How is Microsoft balancing this push for new AI with all their other products? It's a tough balancing act, right?
Totally. I mean, they can't just forget about things like Microsoft 365, their bread and butter. But is there a chance that focusing so much on AI might actually hurt those older products?
It's the question everyone's asking. Will AI eat away at their existing business? And the answer from Microsoft seems to be no. They're actually seeing the opposite happen. AI is boosting demand across all their products.
Wow. So it's actually helping them. What's the logic there?
Well, AI isn't a standalone thing. It needs to be integrated with existing systems. To do that well, you need a strong foundation. Think CPUs, storage, security, the whole package.
So it's not about AI replacing everything. It's more like AI supercharging everything, making their whole ecosystem more valuable.
Exactly. When developers build AI applications, they don't just use the AI part, they use the whole Microsoft ecosystem.
Which brings up the whole issue of AI capacity. Everyone's talking about not having enough computing power to run these AI models. Was Microsoft caught off guard by this, or did they see this coming?
Oh, they knew this was coming. The issue is that scaling up to meet this huge demand isn't easy. It's not just about buying more GPUs. You need data centers, land, power. It's a massive effort.
So they were ready for the demand, but maybe not for just how fast it was growing.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's forced them to make some hard choices, like prioritizing AI capacity, even if it means slowing things down a bit for their traditional cloud services.
That's a risky move, but it really shows you where their focus is.
Definitely a learning curve. New ways of selling, getting everyone on board, it all takes time.
There's probably going to be some bumps in the road as they figure it all out. But in the long run, they're betting big on AI, that's for sure.
In the long run, they think this laser focus will pay off. And speaking of big bets, let's talk about their partnership with OpenAI. Huge for both companies, but there have been some changes recently, right?
That's right. They moved from an exclusive partnership to one with right of first refusal. It's got people talking.
Yeah.
Any idea why that happened?
It makes sense when you think about it. OpenAI needs to diversify where they get their computing power from. They're growing so fast.
So instead of just using Microsoft for everything, they need to look at other options to run their AI.
Exactly. Microsoft gets it. They're still a primary partner until at least 2030. Smart move for both sides.
So it's not that Microsoft is backing away. It's more like they're recognizing that OpenAI needs to spread its wings a bit.
Yeah.
But does this give an opening to competitors like Google?
It's possible, of course. AI is a very competitive space.
Yeah.
But Microsoft isn't standing still. They're still all in on OpenAI, and they're making their own moves to stay ahead.
Right. It's a long game for them. Speaking of which, there's been a lot of buzz about Microsoft's AI revenue reaching $13 billion. What should people know about that number?
That number gets thrown around a lot. But it's important to understand that most of that is from things that happen after the AI models are trained. The money from the actual training, especially with partners like OpenAI, isn't part of that $13 billion.
So there are actually two different revenue streams when it comes to AI. What about Microsoft's long-term strategy? How are they planning to build and make money off of these AI models going forward?
Their goal is to create an AI platform that's flexible and can be used all over the world for all sorts of things, like a one-stop shop for all your AI needs.
Sort of like what they did with their cloud offerings, creating a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. Whether you're a developer building something new or a company wanting to use AI in your business, they want to be the place you go.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
But building a platform like that takes a lot of resources and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Are there any concerns about them being able to keep up with the rapid pace of AI development?
That's a fair question. People are definitely watching that closely. They're looking at this AI revolution like the transition to the cloud. They see it as a long game, and they're focused on building a solid and adaptable infrastructure to support it. They know things will keep changing.
So they're learning from their past successes and applying those lessons to AI.
Exactly. And they're not just reacting to what's happening now, they're thinking years ahead. But technology isn't the only thing they're focused on. They're also aware of the potential challenges and are trying to address them head on.
Like what? I mean, there are a lot of concerns about AI, right?
Yeah.
Jobs, ethics, all of that.
Yeah, those are serious issues, and we'll definitely dive into them later on. For now, let's focus on the steps Microsoft is taking.
Okay, so they know there are pitfalls and are actively working to avoid them. That's good. But what about building enough capacity? AI needs so much power and space. Are there concerns about that?
There are always concerns about scaling something this big. Microsoft has been clear that they have a solid plan for capacity. They're thinking long term, and they're stressing the importance of everyone in the industry working together to make sure there are enough resources. Things like skilled workers and power.
So it's bigger than just Microsoft. It's the whole tech world working together.
Interesting. It highlights that this is a huge shift, a real turning point with effects that go way beyond just one company or one industry.
Feels like we're on the edge of something big, both for technology and for society as a whole. But we have a lot more to talk about, right?
We do. Our listeners are going to be interested in Microsoft's innovations. They've got some really exciting things happening that are changing the game, and that's what we'll talk about next.
Yeah, you're right about that. Microsoft has been really pushing things forward with some of their new tech. One that's caught my attention is DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. I've heard of it, but I don't really get what it is. Can you explain it? Sure. It's basically Microsoft's way of taking a big, powerful AI model and making it smaller and more efficient, like distilling it down.
Oh, so it's kind of like making a smaller, faster version of a supercomputer. Why is that so important?
Well, it tackles a huge problem in AI cost. Training those big AI models takes tons of computing power and energy. That means lots of money. DeepSeek makes those models smaller so they cost less to run, which makes AI more accessible to more people.
So it's about making AI cheaper and also making it easier for anyone to use. That's pretty big.
Exactly. And it fits with what Microsoft's been saying all along. AI is going to get more efficient and cheaper over time. DeepSeek is proof that they're committed to making that happen.
This whole efficiency thing seems to be a big part of their AI strategy. Do you think focusing so much on efficiency could actually stifle innovation?
It's a good question, but I think in Microsoft's case, they're actually using efficiency to drive innovation. They're taking the money they save and putting it right back into research and development.
So it's not about cutting costs just for the sake of it. It's about using their resources wisely to make even more progress in AI.
Right. And they're even using their own AI tools like Copilot to make things more efficient internally.
Speaking of Copilot, that was another one that got a lot of hype and then sort of faded away. What's going on with that? Is it living up to the hype?
Well, these things take time. Getting businesses to adopt new tools, especially something as big as AI, is a slow process. But we are seeing signs that Copilot is catching on, early adopters are using it more, and Copilot chat is growing really fast.
This is more of a slow burn than a sudden explosion.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole new way of working, so it takes time for people to adjust and really see the potential.
It sounds like Microsoft has bigger plans for Copilot than just being a helpful assistant, though. They're talking about it becoming more independent and proactive within Microsoft 365. What does that even mean?
Well, imagine Copilot going from answering your questions to actually doing things for you, managing your tasks, automating your work, even anticipating your needs before you even know you have them.
So it's like having a really smart virtual assistant who's always a step ahead.
Exactly. And Copilot Studio, which lets users build their own AI agents, is going to be a big part of making that happen. Users can basically train Copilot to do exactly what they need.
That's really cool. Giving people the power to create their own custom AI agents opens up so many possibilities.
It does. And it fits perfectly with Microsoft's goal of creating a unified AI ecosystem. It's all about seamless integration.
So AI becomes just a natural part of everything you do, from email to data analysis to managing your schedule. Big vision, but is it realistic? This AI boom must be putting a strain on Azure's profits, right?
There's definitely pressure there, but what's interesting is that they've gotten much more efficient compared to previous transitions, like moving to the cloud.
So they're learning from experience and doing things better this time around?
Right. Their investments in hardware and software, plus their flexible platform design, have really helped. Plus, they're using AI internally to save money and make their own operations more efficient.
So they're walking the walk, using AI to make themselves better. Shows they believe in it.
They've made it clear to investors that they're committed to improving margins and using their resources wisely. It's a balancing act between investing in innovation and keeping an eye on profits.
Okay, makes sense. But let's zoom out for a minute. People are saying AI will change everything. Is it all hype or is it the real deal?
I think we're still in the early stages, but the potential is huge. AI is already having an impact on healthcare, transportation, finance, everything really. And as it gets better, the impact is only going to grow.
That's exciting, but also a little scary. What about all the potential problems with AI? The job losses and ethical concerns? How is Microsoft addressing those?
Those are valid concerns, definitely not easy to answer. But Microsoft has been very clear about their commitment to responsible AI.
So it's not just about making cool technology, it's about doing it the right way.
Right. They have ethical guidelines for how they develop and use AI, and they're actively involved in discussions with policymakers and industry leaders to help shape the future of AI.
So they're not afraid to have the tough conversations.
Not at all. They know AI is powerful and that it needs to be used responsibly.
Good to hear. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about the competition. It's not just Microsoft in the AI game, right?
Definitely not. Google, Amazon, Meta, they're all investing heavily in AI. It's a very competitive landscape.
So what makes Microsoft stand out in such a crowded space?
Their focus on building a complete integrated AI ecosystem is a big differentiator. It's not just about individual tools, it's about connecting everything together seamlessly.
So they're creating a one-stop shop for all things AI, from Azure to Microsoft 365 to their gaming stuff.
Exactly. They want to meet the needs of everyone, from developers building complex AI applications to everyday users who just want to be more productive.
It's like they're taking what they learned from building their cloud platform and applying it to AI.
That's a good way to put it. And they're not just focused on the now, they're looking ahead, trying to anticipate what's next in AI.
Makes you wonder what is next for them. What new AI trends are they going to explore?
Well, one area that's getting a lot of buzz is edge computing. Instead of just using big cloud data centers, edge computing brings the processing power closer to where the data is actually being generated.
Oh yeah, edge computing. I've been hearing about that. It seems like it would be really important for things that need data analyzed in real time, like self-driving cars or factory automation.
Exactly. And that's where Microsoft's focusing a lot of their efforts. They're putting a lot of resources into making edge computing solutions that are not just powerful, but also secure.
Because I imagine moving all that processing to the edge creates a whole new set of security and privacy challenges, right?
Absolutely. Securing those edge environments and protecting the data is crucial. And Microsoft's leveraging their experience with cloud security and data management to build a really robust and secure edge ecosystem.
So they're not just jumping on the bandwagon, they're thinking about the whole picture.
Right. They're not going it alone either. They're working with partners and really trying to build trust in these new decentralized systems.
It's interesting how this all ties back to their overall AI strategy.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about how all these different technologies work together.
You got it. It's all connected. And speaking of connections, another trend that's going to be huge for Microsoft is AI assistants.
Yeah, we talked about Copilot earlier, but it feels like these AI assistants are getting so much smarter. It's almost like having a superpowered helper who can do anything.
It is. And as they become more integrated into our lives, both at work and at home, they have the potential to make us so much more productive.
It's like something out of science fiction. But doesn't all this raise some ethical questions? How do we make sure these super smart AI systems are being used for good?
That's the big question, right? And Microsoft knows it. They have been very clear about their commitment to developing AI responsibly.
It's not just about building cool tech. It's about building tech that's good for everyone.
Absolutely. They've got ethical guidelines for how they build and use AI, and they're working with policymakers and other leaders to make sure AI is developed ethically.
That's reassuring. Okay, let's talk money for a second. What should investors be watching as Microsoft continues to push forward with AI?
Keep an eye on how much money they're making from their Azure AI business. That's a good sign of whether their investments are paying off.
Right. If revenue's growing, it means people are actually buying and using their products. What else should investors be looking at?
Look at their market share in areas like cloud computing and productivity software. See how they're doing against the competition. And don't forget about their R&D spending. Microsoft's investing billions in research, and those investments could lead to big breakthroughs in the future.
So it's about understanding where they are now and where they might be going in the future.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that Microsoft is changing. They're not just a software company anymore. They're becoming an AI company. It's a big change, and it comes with risks, but it also has huge potential.
This is definitely an exciting time to be watching Microsoft and the whole AI space. It feels like they're really ahead of the curve.
Hmm.
But even for a company like Microsoft, there have to be challenges, right? What are some of the things that could slow them down?
Sure. One of the biggest problems for anyone working in AI right now is finding enough talented people. There's a real shortage of AI
I can
experts.
imagine it's such a new and specialized field.
It's not just about technical skills either. They also need people who understand the ethical and societal implications of AI.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about being responsible.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of government regulation. Governments are still trying to figure out how to regulate AI, and those regulations could have a big impact on companies like Microsoft.
It feels like there are no real rules yet. It's the Wild West.
It is, and it's really important for companies like Microsoft to work with policymakers to make sure those regulations are fair and support innovation. It's a tough balancing act.
You don't want to stifle progress, but you also want to make sure these technologies are used for good.
Exactly. It's going to take a lot of communication and cooperation between governments, industry leaders, and everyday people to get it right.
This whole AI revolution is about so much more than just technology, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about how we live, how we work, what kind of future we want to build.
Well, I feel like I've learned a lot today. It's clear that we're in the middle of a huge shift, and it's both exciting and a bit overwhelming.
I agree. The pace of change is incredible, and we're only just beginning to see what AI can do. But we need to approach this with a sense of both wonder and responsibility.
We need to be aware of the risks, but also excited about the potential for AI to solve some of our biggest problems.
It's about finding that balance between hope and caution, pushing the boundaries of what's possible while staying true to our values.
So for our listeners out there, what does all this mean? It means we need to stay curious, stay informed, and be part of the conversation. The AI revolution is happening, and it's going to affect all of us.
It's a call to action. We can't just sit back and watch. We need to learn, we need to talk about it, and we need to make choices about how we want to be a part of this future.
It's about realizing that we all have a role to play in making sure AI is used for good.
And that's a message worth sharing.
Absolutely. So, to wrap things up, here's a question for everyone listening. As AI continues to change the world, what role do you want to play in shaping that future? Thank you so much for tuning into the Quarterly Call. For more episodes, please remember to rate and follow our show. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.